Well, I wanted to have the Godzilla roar, but apparently that's copywritten, so we can't use it. Now I might get sued. But anyway, welcome back to the Red River Horror Podcast. This is episode number 37. I'm your host, Joe Zakreski, joined today by Eddie Cayazzo. Hi, Ed. How are you?
Joe, good evening. And I just want to say something quick on that Godzilla roar. The worst movie in the franchise, which was Godzilla 98, had the best Godzilla roar. Go ahead.
Okay.
I agree.
And then also joining us is our friend Steve Feast from Keystone Retro. Hey,
Hello.
Steve. How are you?
Gentlemen. Yeah, and it is in the Come With Me song by Puff Daddy and featuring Jimmy Page in that roar at the beginning.
Yeah, remember?
And the Brain Stew remix for the Godzilla soundtrack.
Oh, my gosh.
It just literally has that roar in.
Yeah, that's all it is. And it's just Brain Stew.
Man, maybe we'll have to revisit that one just for the soundtrack like we did for Freddy vs. Jason.
We should MST3K that one, the 98 Godzilla.
Right?
Oh, we
That'd be
should
pretty good.
totally do that.
Yeah. And but what we're talking about today is the most recent one, Godzilla versus Kong.
Woo!
Is that what it? Yeah, Godzilla.
Yes, it is. I kept getting them mixed
I
up.
keep saying Kong versus Godzilla and keep throwing in King, but there is no actual King Kong. And what I like about this whole new thing, if this started off as a joke, where it's like, I'm going to get hyped for Godzilla versus Kong because this just looks so absurd. The only one I had seen in this franchise before was that first 2014
Yes.
Godzilla with
yeah.
Bryan Cranston, who's in it for a cup of tea, but they just wrote off the Breaking Bad. They're just like, well, he's in it.
Yeah, right. Bryan Cranston's
Yeah,
in the movie.
Yeah. So I was like, yeah, this looks absurd. And then I was at your house, Steve, and we were watching football. I'm like, have you seen the trailer for this mess?
And it was pretty good.
Yeah.
I like the trailer. Was that the Super Bowl? I want to say that was the Super Bowl that
No,
trailer
it was
came
still
up.
playoffs.
Okay.
It was,
You know, it was
it was a rough day for you.
yeah, that was a rough day. We won't bring it up.
Let's not open old wounds. But so, and then I was talking with Eddie about it, who, you know, he's got a love for Godzilla because his father loves Godzilla.
Yes.
So if you go to the Cayazzo house, there was always like a Godzilla doll somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. Somewhere.
I have no passion
basement.
for it, so I'm just here as someone who watched the movie.
Yeah. I mean, we figured it's like, let's get another voice on here for fun. And, you know, you can always go to KeystoneRetro.com and type in Red River for 10% off your order at Keystone
That
Retro.
you definitely can.
Yeah, it's a wonderful thing.
And just a sidebar.
Sure.
I went to Target last night, Target today, Walmart today, and it is sold out of all Godzilla stuff, all Kong stuff, and leading up to this, there was a lot. Like all through the fall, like NECA had the line, and they were just putting out Godzilla after Godzilla. They're all sold out now, and they were sitting on the shelves forever.
Yeah.
So I don't know if NECA pulled it or if they're just sold out with the hype for the movie. I don't know.
Well, Steve, you might eventually have some Godzilla stuff for
Well, there you
Keystone
go.
Retro because what I'm looking to do, I love Godzilla. I do have like a 2-foot tall one from the 2014 film.
Okay.
It's a big one. Like what I ultimately aim to do years and years and years down the line is just, you know, get rid of that stuff and sell it for a higher amount. So
We'll talk about that.
yes.
Yeah, and then I decided I was going to be Team Kong because I genuinely do really like the original 1933 King Kong. It's one of those older black and white movies that I really feel holds up to even today's standards. Like it's campy, it's fun. Like it's funny to look at the old special effects, but if you think about for the time it was made, you can really appreciate what was done.
Yeah.
And it's really really well acted. Everything about it, it's just like, this is great, and it's got it has an actual intermission. Because it's so long. But I know,
and it's hardly even that long by today's standards.
yeah.
Well, I just wanted to say this is Red River Horror episode number 37, just a little bit on how we got here. So the first dueling movie reviews was for the reboot of Wrong Turn.
Yep.
Then, Joe, because for no reason at all, you decided to get excited about Godzilla vs. Kong.
Yep.
So we decided to do the Versus series.
Yep.
And that started with Alien vs. Predator, Freddy vs. Jason, and now we are here, episode 37, at Godzilla vs. Kong.
Yes,
Extremely long road, but here we are.
we made it. Well, I'll tell you this much. So, what when this was coming out, I really didn't follow. I didn't see Kong Skull Island. I didn't see Godzilla King of the Monsters. I now have.
What's what? The Monsterverse is what Warner Brothers is dubbing this. It's the Monsterverse.
And where Warner Brothers completely missed the mark in trying to compete with like Disney and Marvel, they took that Marvel model and applied it to these classic monsters with a tweak and a revisioning, and I think it's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
This is just fun. All those movies were just fun to watch.
I totally agree. I had fun this entire movie.
Yeah.
I don't really have. If I want to pick it apart, I could, but I don't really have a bad thing to say about it.
Yeah.
Just right off the bat. So spoiler alert. That's my feelings about the movie.
Now, are you going to contribute some, maybe like a paragraph or two, your thoughts for RedRiverHorror.com to be part of Joe and I's dueling movie reviews post?
I definitely could.
Okay.
I could take some of my notes right here and turn this into a article for sure, or just a paragraph or two. So I would definitely do that.
Well, Joe, not to hijack the show here, Joe Zakreski, our great host, but I first wanted to get your opinion going into this. Before we get to your thoughts on Godzilla vs. Kong, please, Joe, you start. Rank the films in this quote-unquote Monsterverse.
From this new Monsterverse?
Yep, including Godzilla vs. Kong.
Okay. I would go number 1 for me would be Kong Skull Island. 2 would be Godzilla 2014. 3, Godzilla vs. Kong. And 4, Godzilla King of the Monsters.
Steve?
I would probably go with 2014 Godzilla vs. Kong, then Kong Skull Island, and
King of the
Monsters last.
Yeah.
All right, me, I'm going in order. Godzilla 2014, then Kong Skull Island, then Godzilla King of the Monsters, then Godzilla vs. Kong.
Godzilla.
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean,
they're all pretty. They're all really fun. So
they're fun. It's like, remember when Tom Cruise was in The Mummy and they were trying to bring back the classic monsters, which I still think is going to continue, but The Mummy just wasn't. It just wasn't.
No.
Universal failed miserably with that redone Universal Monsterverse thing.
Which is what this is right now?
Well, I think
this is great.
I feel like they abandoned it way too fast, and that was the problem. So they did we did The Mummy, and then it was like, all right, well, we see where our cash grab is, and that's just doing these big action movies, and then went right into The Scorpion King, and then they just completely veered off and just
Yeah. Well, so
and then they came back with the Tom Cruise one, and then that just I forgot about it again.
Well, that one was to bring back the one from the 40s?
Yeah.
50s?
It was supposed to. So they
Like
were
cut out the Brendan Fraser, so it would have been that, and then another Dracula, and another Frankenstein.
So Dracula actually happened. I haven't seen it, but they technically started this. It was Dark Universe, is what they were trying to do.
That's not friend of the show, Clace Bang, right? That was the
No.
BBC.
No,
Yeah,
that was
no.
just like a little mini series thing.
Clace Bangs was good, and I hear this Universal. They tried to stay. It was called Dark Universe.
Okay.
So if you watch the beginning scrawl of, if that's even what's called, The Mummy 2017, there was this Dark Universe thing that came over as like a Universal graphic.
Okay.
There was a Dracula film before that. I can't say that I watched it, and I can't remember what year, but that Dracula one would have technically been the first in this Dark Universe. The Mummy was the second, where they introduced what's Russell Crowe's character? He was Jekyll and Hyde.
That's right.
So they tried all that. Now I believe what we're getting next is Bride of Frankenstein, and I think that was cast. Angelina Jolie was cast to play Bride of Frankenstein,
Really?
And the Invisible Man was a part of that as well.
which was awesome. I thought.
All right. So
I actually enjoyed the.
So maybe they're not missing the mark as much as I'm. You know what? It's just because
The Mummy did.
I'm giving Warner Brothers a lot of credit for this Kong Godzilla Monsterverse, because the whole DC thing that they tried to redo, they rushed it, and then those movies are all crap to the point where it's like, I won't watch the Snyder recut. Maybe I will at some point. Even people are like, oh, it's so much better. The bar is so low that doesn't mean anything to me.
Yeah, I have zero excitement to watch it, and so if I watch it and okay and kind of decent, I'll probably enjoy it.
So one thing with Joe, not to crap on Warner Brothers here, it's Legendary Pictures, I believe, that, and maybe we can bring one of our filmmaker friends on the show to explain how this works, but Legendary made the film and Warner Brothers pretty much has a partnership with them. Because Legendary Pictures could be distributed by anybody, Universal, Disney,
For sure.
Warner Brothers. So that's what I think happened is they came to them with this Godzilla, and if Godzilla was a success, which it was in 2014,
Then they would keep riding with
Yes.
it. I mean, hey, keep them coming. I'm all right with it.
If they're all a ride like this,
Yeah.
keep them going on.
Yeah, I mean, and what was even made it even more fun was us talking about just like, oh, like, you know, Team Kong, Team Godzilla. It's like who's gonna win, and just for someone who never saw it, I was in like a little thread with buddy Anthony Allberger and Charlie Leckie jumped in there, friend of the show, good old Charles.
Yeah.
Says, I just hope they learn the true meaning of friendship.
Well,
Which I didn't want to just be like, spoiler alert. But hey, here's your spoiler alert, boys and girls, because we are going to be talking.
I was gonna say if you've made it this far and you haven't seen the movie, either you're not going to see the movie or go watch the movie and come back.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Because from here out it's going to be spoiler.
so. Steve, that's very good what you just brought up there. So that is a great jumping off point. So right now, if you haven't seen Godzilla vs Kong, turn it off, and then I will continue to tell our listeners while these people are turning it off about Keystone Retro. So you check out if you find some Godzilla Kong gear there at Keystone Retro.
There's nothing up there.
Well,
I'm buying a house.
Even a VHS tape.
I mean, I could.
There's
we gotta go thrifting.
Yeah. So anyway, but if you find something you like on Keystone Retro, use that code Red River at checkout, save 10%. Spoilers. Here we go.
Yeah. So anyway, I mean, I just couldn't stop laughing at it. Like he's joking, but that's exactly what happens. Because when we had it, like, did you, Steve, when you were going into it, did you have any kind of like theory about what the outcome of this could have been?
So I for the entire time that the movie started, I'm like, Kong's winning this. And I went into it with mentality of wrestling, which is Kong just kept getting his ass kicked for the beginning of the movie, in the middle of the movie. He needed everyone's help, which to me signifies that's just the good guy being down, and then at the end they're gonna win. So I went with classic good guy, bad guy, heel, face, whatever like technology or terminology. But as soon as Mechagodzilla came in, I'm like, all right, they're both going to take it down, and it's going to be a happy ending.
And they learn the true meaning of friendship.
Ashley called it like right away. She's like, they're both going to get together, and they're going to beat them up. I'm like, of course, that's exactly what's going to happen.
Because I liked Ed's a lot, which was you had said it's like, well, this is set up so that like Kong wins. They haven't called him King Kong yet, so he defeats Godzilla and becomes King Kong.
Yeah.
It's fair logic.
Yeah, but like this Kong is a different Kong than previous King Kongs.
Yeah,
like it's a similar type setup, but like the whole Hollow Earth thing, I was like, oh, is there going to be like an army of Kongs that rise from the middle of the, like an army of giant gorillas that just come out of here and just mess up some lizard?
I mean, is that where this is going to go? I had read
I'm
yesterday.
even more okay with that.
Yeah, I'd read yesterday that this is considered the end of like this chapter. So if we're saying like MCU, like this is phase 1. So this would, and that's why there was no end credit scenes. There was no mid credit scenes. This is the end of the chapter for now.
Yeah, I mean it's a good stop. Point right here.
And so I think this has probably been the biggest, most talked about movie of the pandemic so far. So I think there'll probably be another one.
Yeah.
So Kong is larger than he was in Kong Skull Island. He was still growing.
Is that what they're saying?
Yes. Well, that was in Kong Skull Island. They even say it as part of the script. Like they say, he's like, oh, he's still growing. So he's a bigger Kong in this. So that if you figure Godzilla, and
he was
I'm just trying
he
to
was
find
Prince
this.
Kong, and now he's
So
maybe a little bit closer to King.
yeah, so he's a big guy now.
Yeah.
Now he can stand almost toe to toe, head to head
Head-to-head.
with Godzilla in this one.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I didn't think about that until like, it's like, oh yeah, well that makes sense. It's like, and that sets it up for even some kind of prequel of him getting to Skull Island, or
Yeah.
like Legends of Skull Island, because that's how they hear about it, right?
And I will say, he's adorable.
Isn't he?
Kong is absolutely adorable, and I am surprised that there hasn't been more like plushies out on the shelves and like things like that to do this, because it's PG-13. Like it's not
Right.
It's not a hard R or anything like that. It's
Which is-
PG-13, and kids are going to see it.
Yeah.
That are in that age that are going to want to cuddle with Kong.
Hey, that's a hell of a toy line.
Yeah.
Like Kong versus Godzilla. I'd be all about that if I was a kid.
I saw there's like some Funko Pops coming out, but like that's not the same thing. He is adorable.
No, for
And-
Kong versus Godzilla, you either want like straight up action, like some good action figures, or even like a Lego set.
I would be all over a Lego set.
Yeah.
That actually would be great.
Yeah.
Just like a nice little like almost life size Kong, or like movie size, and then you got the minifigures. Like that would be.
That'd be fun.
I'd
That'd
put
be
that
a lot.
together.
So a Variety article. I'm sorry, a Variety
Jump
article
on in.
is saying that Kong was only 104 feet tall, but Godzilla is 393 feet tall. Like this is the biggest Godzilla ever. So I think Variety has Kong's size wrong.
I think so.
Because
Yeah.
I knew going into Kong Skull Island, it's just like, okay, this is going to set up the Monsterverse.
Yeah.
They said Kong is still growing, because that was my biggest gripe in all the preview stuff
Yeah.
for Kong Skull Island. I'm like, how is he going to get to Godzilla's size?
Right.
Because Godzilla's huge.
Yeah, you can't really tell, but until that end scene in Hong Kong. But like when they're in Hong Kong, they're face to face. So
Yeah.
unless they are measuring Godzilla head to tail, which
Maybe.
That would add, a good
a couple hundred
portion. Yeah.
So Steve, you really liked this film.
I did.
What did you like about it?
So the probably the first thing that really grabbed me of the movie is the cast. I really enjoyed the cast of the movie.
Yeah.
Paperboy, Brian Tyree Henry was great. Millie Bobby Brown, really enjoyed Millie Bobby Brown. Alexander Skarsgård. We just watched True Blood. I just rewatched True Blood. Ashley watched True Blood for the first time, so like, still in love with him. He's a gorgeous, gorgeous man. But
Yeah.
they all did well, and like it's a monster movie, so there's some of those lines where are super predictable. But I really enjoyed the cast as kind of the main thing, and I loved that we got right into it.
Yep. No,
There was
no holding back. It's
no
just like,
build up. It was
Go.
just action. Felt like a Michael Bay film. Like we're just going right into it. Things are blowing up. People are dying. Things are getting shot.
yeah, and it didn't do that thing that Michael Bay films do, where it has like some kind of hokey romance that doesn't really fit the storyline.
Yeah, like there was nothing pigeonholed into this just
Nope.
to grab another audience.
Nope, this is literally a battle between a Kong and a Godzilla, and throwing a curveball with Mecha Godzilla. That
Yeah, I
did-
didn't see that coming.
Yeah, was that even in the trailer? I don't think that was in the trailer at all.
If you followed, the only reason I knew that happened, and I did not mean to stumble upon this, and this is one of the bad things about having Twitter and just access to immediate information. Somebody that I followed on the Red River Horror account on Twitter was holding up a Mecha Godzilla toy and said, "Oh, I really wish I didn't see this." And it's like, well, me too, man. Why would you post
Yeah,
that?
so why
on
would you do
Twitter?
it? Yeah,
Damn it.
Yeah, I'm glad.
I wish it was spoiled for me, so I have to spoil for other people. That's what it was.
Yeah, I mean that was a pleasant surprise and a pleasant twist. Like I was even sitting there watching, I was like, "Oh, Mecha Godzilla!"
Yeah,
I'm like,
I
"Oh,
went
cool."
went right into oh shit mode.
Yeah, I was like, "This is awesome."
So
Not only was that awesome, Kong's battle axe.
Oh yeah, the Thor hammer.
Yeah.
The Thor axe.
Which, like, I think that's
The Thor
kind of a
axe.
thing before in the first, like, Kong versus Godzilla thing. I think he might have popped him with, like, some kind of big tool.
I
some
can't
point.
remember because I was so pissed that Godzilla or Kong beat Godzilla in the 1960s one, and that's just so like it was because it was an American film, you know, so Godzilla had to lose
Damn right.
and all that stuff. So I can't remember, but if spoiler alert for the 60s Godzilla versus King Kong, King
If you
Kong,
haven't seen it yet,
King Kong wins.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean, well, yeah, it was the '60s. You know.
Yeah.
so
we're less removed from WW2 than we are from that movie now. So
right.
yeah, so I have Kong Stormbreaker's A+ stuff. That was one of my notes. So I like the battle axe shit. It was
Thing's
great.
so cool. It charges up. It's like it's radioactive.
The little girl throughout the whole movie was adorable too.
She was.
But there was so many. These are like the cheesy lines that I got. Like this was the one that caught me.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's like, "Well, Kong bows to no one." And cue the kid being outside and Kong bowing to the kid. It's like, all right, you set that up.
Literally the line that made me be like, I'm watching this.
Yeah.
Because I was like,
Yeah.
this is so cheesy. But I'm like, I don't even care anymore.
Yeah, there was a lot of cheesy things. Like I felt like Millie Bobby Brown's sidekick was just straight up Ned from the Spider-Man MCU. It was just
he's basically the same exact.
yeah, the same character except had an accent and was not in Spider-Man.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that was a Millie Bobby Brown's thing. I loved having the podcast element in there, like a total weirdo
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that caught me off guard at first, where it's just like I knew he was going to be like a weirdo, but then was like I thought the Apple part was like a joke, but he definitely wasn't joking at all.
No.
So be careful with that, man.
GMOs in there.
No, you're right. It was. I first thought, oh, okay, podcast, right? Yeah, but then it made sense. It made sense for
did.
the world that we were living in for that film. It's like, all right, I get it.
Yeah.
And just that little girl, Kaylee Hoddle. So great job, Kaylee Hoddle. She played Jia or Jaya, however they say it.
Outstanding job. She kept her cool around a giant ape, and then give the little actress a lot of credit because their ape was not there at all.
Right.
And, she hit her marks.
I did like that when they were fighting that first battle scene. I'm just watching. I'm like, pick up an airplane and throw it like a paper airplane.
Yes.
And I'm
Yes.
like, do it. And then he picks it up, and I'm like, I've been waiting for this as soon as he jumped onto that hella carrier.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, absolutely great.
I'm like spacing just because it's like that opening with him on the air. There's the only issues with the movies. There's some continuity issues, which is perfectly fine to have cut because I don't need to see how they captured Kong to get him onto the boat.
Yeah,
I just need to know that he's on the boat. Like clearly they showed we've contained Skull Island. He can't escape it. So
yeah.
Well, it's a plot hole. How did they get Kong into the net?
Why does it matter?
I will tell you guys
Did
though
you need that scene?
that what mattered to me though was the last time we see Kong is in the Vietnam War era, and now all of a sudden he's a pet of the humans in a Kong containment area. That did annoy me a little bit that we didn't know how all of a sudden we're just carrying him on a aircraft carrier.
yeah. Well, I think it set it up as like Monarch basically put a dome around Skull Island.
Right.
Yeah.
Like they came to him. They didn't take him for where he was from.
Yeah, they contained him.
Which is also kind of fucked up because there's indigenous people there that are just
Yes.
trying to live their lives. But I guess they still could.
Yeah, and
They don't know that there's
like
a bubble there.
it's going in the story of the stormtroopers that died on the Death Star. It's like, all right, yeah, I know that they're there, but I don't need to. I don't need their backstory.
You're going to tell me that was all troopers? There weren't any independent contractors and plumbers on there?
So we're in Act 1. We're in Act 1. They move Kong somehow. Okay, fine. I guess
Yeah.
Godzilla versus Kong. It's gonna be all about the monster fights. But I was a little annoyed. It's just like, oh, so we can just control Kong like that? We can just be like, oh yeah, here we go. We're gonna move him.
I was a little annoyed to a certain degree that they're like, we are going to keep Kong contained so Godzilla doesn't come and go after him. But then Godzilla came anyways. Like,
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, so you're going to contain this one monster, and they kept him tied up the whole time. It's like, just let him go. What, like, right off the bat, they should have hit that button. Like,
Yeah.
it made no sense to me.
Because that's what my wife said immediately. She's
But that's
just like,
that's the government. The government makes no sense.
well, that's what she said to me. She's like, okay, so if the Earth is mostly made of water and Godzilla is amphibious and Kong can drown, well, there you go. That's the battle
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah.
I mean, it almost was.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was her thing. She's like, okay, logic would say that as soon as he gets him off the boat, all he has to do is hold him underwater until he can't breathe anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, if you turn that into a choose your own adventure and just be like, don't release, and then just Kong just dies in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, but he doesn't. And it's just to, it's, fake suspense where it's just like, he's not going to die this early. So
Yeah.
is it really necessary? If they save that for Hong Kong, like getting to Hong Kong, yeah, maybe it works a little better, but it was still cool. It's really cool to see him like jump aircraft carrier to aircraft carrier. I thought all that visual was really, really awesome for that first fight.
All right. Well, Joe, so we have Steve. Steve said the cast. He really liked the cast, the acting. You guys are saying that the aircraft carrier jumping and all that first fight, very cool. Why don't we progress a little bit? What did you like about the film?
Overall, I really liked how it was, nonstop action.
Yeah.
And where there wasn't action, there was like that good Millie Bobby Brown, her little storyline of like infiltrating Apex.
Which is still action in a Mission Impossible type action.
It was great. And obviously like some of the humor is corny, but it was still like pretty funny with some of it, I'm trying to remember his name, who's the podcaster.
Yeah, he was good.
Oh, the podcaster is
What's his name?
Brian Tyree Henry.
That's it.
Yeah, so he
just
is
does a
also
great
in,
job.
Atlanta on FX.
He's
Paperboy.
Oh,
Paperboy.
okay.
You already said that too.
Yeah.
So no, Brian Tyree Henry, he was good, and that's something I just want to move back to Godzilla, King of the Monsters.
Uh-huh.
One thing, just to interject something, for me, Bradley Whitford in King of the Monsters. Like,
Yeah.
I was so tired of the zingers and the stupid one-liners
That
and
was
crap.
his
Like,
whole entire bit during that whole movie.
and I feel-
just come out there and say, well, it's a lizard.
Yeah.
Right. And that pissed me off. In Godzilla vs. Kong, Brian Tyree Henry, I did enjoy his comic relief in the film. I thought it was done much better.
It was more in line with his character because he was a crazy podcaster that was into all these conspiracy theories and stuff like that. So when he said it, it was more so crazy podcaster versus Ian Malcolm, just trying to throw one-liners out there.
Yeah.
He also has a really good expressive face for like
Yes.
that kind of thing where it's like
Yeah,
his
yeah.
reaction to things. Like one thing, like when you say Paperboy, the thing I always remember is like the look on his face when the guy's like, when they're getting wings, he's like, I got lemon pepper wet. He's like,
He's got some good facials.
yeah. So, I mean, not everybody has that, but it's like, what's his face from Bradley
Oh, Bradley Whitford.
Whitford.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's more like deadpan. So
Yeah,
it
and it's
doesn't
like
it doesn't jive as well.
And he was just like, I feel like in Godzilla King of the Monsters, and this is not just, we're not talking about that film, but just to throw it back to a moment where in the series so far they tried to do some comic relief, and I was infuriated with Bradley Whitford toward the end of Godzilla King of the Monsters. It's like, don't show him again, all right?
Yeah.
Let's get this human story out of the way and take a more serious tone than this guy just throwing stupid crap in the middle of it.
Yeah.
So I didn't find that at all in Godzilla vs. Kong.
Well, in Godzilla vs. Kong, I mean, that's the
But
thing.
you said you liked that movie more than
oh,
Godzilla
yes.
vs. Kong.
So
So let's go right to what you like, maybe, what you didn't like about this versus the other ones, and then maybe what you did really enjoy out of this one.
So what I didn't like and why it's the lowest on the list.
yes.
Godzilla 2014 was so good. It was done so well.
I agree.
It was there was a lot of heart to the film. I cared about the characters. The whole movie brought me in. I saw it in 3D IMAX, and it was the spectacle. Like them jumping out, the soldiers in Godzilla 2014, them jumping out of that airplane in the middle of that fight with Godzilla and the Mutos was one of the coolest things I've ever seen in cinema.
Yeah.
In that moment. So Godzilla, it took a lot for him to beat the Mutos in the first one.
Yes, it did.
Got Kong Skull Island. The acting was fantastic. It had just the right amount of comic relief. The characters were interesting. I was going into Kong Skull Island knowing they were trying to build a series out of this, a Monsterverse. I thought it was a film that did really well and made me care about a character that I never really cared about before, being King Kong. It's like, okay, this is a good movie. Godzilla King of the Monsters, I didn't really care that much about the humans because it was such a monster melee, but it was a monster melee in the Godzilla Toho sense. So they were bringing back Rodan and Mothra and King Ghidorah. So watching Godzilla King of the Monsters for a second time, it still falls behind 2014 Godzilla and Kong Skull Island. But after seeing Godzilla vs. Kong, I realize that they did do a better job in Godzilla King of the Monsters as far as the humans go, me caring about their story. This one, to me, and this is probably what people wanted, Godzilla vs. Kong was not only ridiculous, I know it had to be, but it was the CGI was very noticeable to me. Something that I just think is a direction, and I love Adam Wingard, he's a great director. The scale was off in some of the scenes.
And you know what? And that that happens all the time in like monster type movies. I mean, especially when we're talking about Kong growing. Do you remember the first time you see Kong in Kong Skull Island?
Yes.
Like he's massive. And then he's suddenly smaller.
So that threw me off.
I don't know if that's like a thing because that's how the old ones are like that. Like, well, we'll just keep it in there as like, that's like a thing with these.
I will say that certainly did not bother me, but I could imagine and can sympathize with why that would bother you.
Yeah, like it's, you think of the films that Gareth Edwards was charged with bringing Godzilla to the screen and not making it this goofy fight.
98 Godzilla, yeah.
Right. Like not this goofy thing. Like, we had to actually care and it had to be effective. So you get to Godzilla vs. Kong and it's almost a caricature of Godzilla in that we know from the first two Godzilla movies in this Monsterverse that it takes a lot for the big guy to do the atomic fire breath.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, he's just spouting the fire breath every chance he gets. He's like, like there. It's like, okay.
That's from when they try and kill him in King of the Monsters.
Yeah,
not-
they charge him with the nuke. But
Yeah.
but I'm
So
saying,
they were expecting him to die. Then he just eats it.
well, they were trying to they knew.
So there's more to it with that whole center Earth thing because that was like the whole power source in center Earth. And then like Kong has that same power in his battle axe. So there's something more to it.
Right.
There's a missing piece that is what's causing the part that you have the issue with, like the way he like shoots his, like it's not even fire breath at this point.
There's like an added mythos to it that they don't dive into.
Yeah, there's
enough.
something in that hollow earth where that energy is.
But
Right.
but it's a good call out because here you are as a Godzilla fan and someone who has probably seen most of them, and if not a good portion of them, and you're questioning it. So like you're, and you're coming into it more with a fresh mind. It's like, well, why is this happening? And you're watching these with more of a close eye.
yeah.
And but I'm saying that's a bad thing because then someone else who doesn't know mythos and background is going to be like, well, yeah, why is this like this? Or you come into it and go, it's a blockbuster or whatever. Who
And
gives a shit?
that's and I try to think. I think back to the Fast and the Furious series. Until Paul Walker passed, I was totally on board with them getting more and more ridiculous.
yeah.
With the 8th one, for some reason, I'm just like, okay, I've had enough. But when Paul Walker was still in it, I was just like, yeah, all right, let's have
just
Let it ride.
let's get tank. We're going with tanks. We're going with whatever. Yeah.
So and I have to remember that this is a monster showdown. So I guess then to take it back just to the technical side of it, it looked cartoony to me at times. I didn't care as much about the humans as I would have liked. I feel like that was forced on me. This relationship with King Kong and the little girl, I feel like that was like, you're forcing me to care so much about this story.
But that was the only story as probably that story, and then the Millie Bobby Brown are like the only two that I kind of cared about.
Yeah.
Was the little girl, like, that was important, but I really didn't care about Alexander Skarsgård, like, as much as I enjoyed his character and his, acting
Sure.
and everything. I just didn't really care about that story. If he would have died in the second act, I wouldn't have lost anything from the third act.
No.
Now, if the little girl died in the second act, I definitely would have. If Ned, whatever the kid's actual name is, the sidekick of Millie Bobby Brown, like, if he would have died second act, wouldn't have cared.
Right.
But I think if either Paperboy or Millie Bobby Brown did, I would been like, all
would've
right,
cared.
yeah. So like those were really the only two human lines that I cared about.
And I can get in this just a little bit later when we get into a podcast, but I know you guys, really enjoyed it and had good things to say. I was a little more skeptical. There were some real times that took me out of the film, and maybe it's a lack of seeing it. I'm used to seeing something like that in theaters,
Yeah.
where they both looked small to their
Yeah.
background.
So I mean, for me, as I was, I was mildly distracted during the whole movie because I was holding Eddie's 2-week-old son.
Yeah, that could be a little distracting.
I'm just snuggled up with little Eddie,
Yeah.
and I had him the entire time. I wasn't letting him go. So
And that allowed me to come on and start bitching about, some of the God's
yeah, I mean,
Godzilla
I let you and your wife relax and watch the movie while I hang out with the little guy.
Yeah.
It was a lot like watching a movie with my fiance. It starts up, he was a little fussy, and then just fell asleep. And that's what if I watch a movie with Mallory,
It's okay. She
the
doesn't
same
listen.
thing. She does sometimes, and she would 100% agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, she wears it like a badge of honor.
Yeah. Good for her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
boop, falls asleep.
God love her. So we're in Act 2 now.
Yeah,
And I think Act 2 is the weakest of the three.
yeah. That's
But-
when we get
but
into
just-
Pensacola and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or we go into Hollow Earth, do that battle. Kong won. I'd say round 2. I think even Skarsgård, his character says it like,
Yeah.
well, round 2 goes to Kong. Whatever the hell he said.
that's exactly what he said.
Yeah.
And that's why I didn't
But-
think you would. I thought with those kind of lines, you would just be like, okay, like, yes, it's two big monsters fighting, but you're usually
100%. You are 100% correct.
okay.
And the problem is the things that you don't like with like all that CGI and everything. I was just having so much fun watching.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like I was
Yeah.
just like smile. Like I felt like a kid. I'm like, and especially like we've had talks on this podcast about it's just like I would never go back to the movies ever. Like I'd be fine with that at this point. But this, if I was, if there was another one of these, I would go to the theater to see it. It's like that is a movie theater movie.
It really
And,
is.
I'm not going to see A Star is Born in theaters. Like,
Yeah,
it's a good point.
Those are the kind of movies that I'm never going to go to the theater again to see. But a Marvel movie, I might not go see the Eternals, but I'll go see the next big one. Then the next Spider-Man. I said, talked about Spider-Man a couple times already. Like the next Spider-Man, I will be in the theaters for.
For sure. And like if this was something where like one of the things that keeps me out of like theaters, especially like things like IMAX, is like for the amount that you're paying for it. And if it's crowded and stuff, it's like I'm not getting my money's worth at this point because I could get a bad seat, I could be uncomfortable, someone could be annoying as shit, and it's like. But this, I would actually plan around it and see it in an IMAX.
I bought a $1,700 TV for a reason because it's true blacks and
Stuff
all
like
that
this.
stuff, and and I can watch it in 4K UHD, and it looks fantastic. so even going into like what you were saying, where it felt more cartoony and fake, like on when I was watching it, and I wasn't impaired of any sort, I was just watching it, enjoying the movie. Going right into Act 3, like Hong Kong looked amazing.
The
was
city did.
such a great showdown. It felt like I was playing Rampage. Like it was very like overdone in a good way. Is how I felt about it.
Hong Kong did. I will give it that. Hong Kong, the surroundings were fantastic. That was the light. The lighting was perfect.
Yeah.
And Steve, it's so weird you say that. Going into the pandemic, I had no idea. I ended up getting a 4K UHD TV, and my wife for Christmas, God love her, because she's the only person that remembers what I actually want. All I wanted was a 4K UHD player.
Yeah.
She got me that, so I was able to watch before all this Godzilla King of the Monsters
Awesome.
in 4K UHD. So, but I had something to compare it to because
That's fair.
so when we watched Godzilla vs Kong, that was in 4K UHD, perfection.
Yeah.
And I still thought it looked a little
Wow.
Interesting.
cartoony.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you. I mean, I enjoyed that part, like that CGI, just those battle sequences so much that I just didn't care about the cheesy one-liners, which is, I guess, how some people feel about a lot of those movies with the cheesy one-liners that I don't like.
Right.
But I mean, the other thing, what do you think? Why did they choose Hong Kong, other than it's a giant city with lots of big buildings and a whole lot of people?
Well, that's where Apex was located.
That's where Apex was located. Okay, and they've released the signal.
Yeah.
And that's why Godzilla was so pissed off, right?
Yeah.
Because he opens the movie. Did he attack? Not to interrupt you, but
No, you're fine.
did he attack Hong Kong first? Because he knew the reason Godzilla was pissed and why he was the bad guy in the beginning was because they were building something, the Mecha Godzilla, that he was just like, yo, something's not right.
The Apex attracted Godzilla there, and then Godzilla blew a hole into the center of the earth.
Yeah, because they had
that beacon thing.
they had the beacon, and I'm sure if Godzilla can sense Kong and get to Kong, I'm sure Godzilla could sense the skull crawlers and like those things that they had at
Right.
Apex.
That's a good point.
Yeah, interesting. I was just like, well, you know what? I mean, I'm sure the mainland Chinese audience absolutely loved watching Hong Kong get obliterated.
Oh,
I mean, think about it. If I was from Beijing, I'd be like, yeah, boy.
Well, it's like watching Los Angeles get destroyed. It's like yeah
Exactly. Same thing. We're like in New York. I'm just like, all right, cool.
cool. It's not Philly.
Nice.
Cool.
It's not here.
But we did get a quick Philly reference. We're in Philly for what 30 seconds of the movie.
yeah.
Yeah, just about.
They got some stock footage there and said, hey,
Yeah.
this
They're in
is happening in
Philadelphia.
Philly.
How about that?
We
Always
left
get
real
excited.
quick.
Always get excited with the little hometown thing. But yeah, I mean, anyway, I mean the whole destruction of all the buildings. It's like I go through that weird thing where I'm just like, this will never get rebuilt. You just got to consider like that's just donezo.
And
I would love a
that's-
post-apocalyptic movie that's like after the monsters are gone, but it's just the arguments and the politics of the rebuild.
The rebuild,
which the Avengers actually gets into,
yeah, they do.
and they cover it quickly and really well. I mean,
wouldn't mind like just like a very dry drama Marvel of like just
yeah,
Parks and Rec, but
yeah.
make it a comedy.
Is
Let's
that
do
after
Parks
the
and Rec.
snap? Is that what you're saying?
Before.
The
So it's
before- oh.
there's like that's the whole thing that leads into Civil War is like politics getting involved. Same thing with like X-Men with like X2 and
Okay, I gotcha.
where it's like now it's like the human element gets involved. It's like how do we police those who cannot be policed and
So that's
So-
what,
there's
who's
so-
gonna pay for all this destruction?
There's so many casualties. I mean, think of how many people would have had to die in that final scene of.
Yeah, Hong Kong is a city of. Let's play a little game here. I mean, like first,
First, I would
what
say
do you
I
think
would
the
say
population of Hong Kong is off the top of your head?
oh Jesus.
the pop.
Wow, that's a freaking tough one. Let's just go with an easy one. So if Philly's 1.5 mil and New York City's 8 mil, I'm just going to say 3.5 mil.
I got a little higher.
Okay.
Okay,
So seven and a half million.
Okay.
Oh, that's a big city.
So that's a big city.
It's a big freaking city. Population-wise.
And what percentage of the city do you think they destroyed?
50%.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Like,
So there's probably casualties in the millions.
yeah, there's
Yeah.
nowhere for anyone to go.
Yeah.
Like the thing about Hong Kong is it's built up.
Well, yeah, and that
So
and,
most of
I
the
mean,
people live in those apartments, like
and-
those
and
buildings
those-
they're knocking into.
Well, yeah, and the buildings are going down. Like there was one scene where there's a girl just running down the street, running down like a pathway, and it's like still has her bag from shopping, and it's like,
Yeah.
first of all, put your bag down and
know.
just run faster.
I know a guy who lives in Hong Kong. I should hit him up. Be like, hey, man, how many people died when that fight?
You
Also,
saw-
are you still alive in that documentary, Godzilla vs. King Kong?
But see, this is something, and you probably forgive it because, hey, you need these two big monsters to fight each other.
Yeah.
Godzilla 2014 did this so well. San Francisco was destroyed.
Yeah.
They were gathering people hurricane style at Candlestick Park.
Right,
And
exactly.
and then in Godzilla King of the Monsters, they're referencing, 2014.
That's right.
So
Okay.
this movie, I get it. It probably doesn't have to do that, but we
No.
really felt that in 2014.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think whatever comes after this, and I have not looked into what the next plans are. And I don't even think there really is like set in stone plans for this franchise moving forward, or the Monsterverse or whatever you want to call it. But I will say that whatever, we don't need to get into Hong Kong. Like I think it's going to be so far removed from this movie
Yeah.
that it's just going to skip over that stuff.
I think so too. I mean, it was just cool to have the Mecha Godzilla pop out. It was cool to have, I mean, Ed, I thought you were going to be happy with this because Godzilla had him beat.
I will say here,
If Mecha Godzilla didn't make an appearance, Zilla had him.
here's my positives.
Yeah.
So yes, I thought if you're going to make a whole movie about how Godzilla's the king of the monsters and they're all bowing to him, well, there's clearly one of the Titans that's not going to bow to him, and that's Kong.
Yeah.
Kong bows to no one.
So I was happy about that because the thing is, you can't now tell the story of him being the king of the monsters and him not win.
Yeah.
It's just, it doesn't make logical sense. He has to win. Not even because I like him more. Of course I like him more and I want to see him win, but that was good. This, what you're touching on though, is something throughout the entire Monsterverse that I just wanted to get your guys' perspective on.
Sure.
How do you feel about every Titan that's a good guy always needs help?
Well, I mean, that's what I was touching on at the beginning and why I really put it into like almost like a wrestling thing where it's like they're against all odds, but it's just Godzilla. Like they just can't stand up to Godzilla. Like,
But King Ghidorah could. Like so without the humans interacting in Godzilla King of the Monsters, Godzilla would have been not dead, but he was recharging or
Fair.
whatever. So he got beat by King Ghidorah. 1. 2, when he's fighting King Ghidorah at the end, without Mothra's sacrifice to revive him, he loses that too. So he needed help twice in King of the Monsters. In 2014, the humans with oh my gosh, Aaron Taylor Johnson. What's that guy's name? That was the main.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it.
yeah.
Kick ass.
I think so.
Yeah.
So he blows up the babies of the Muto, and that's what like Godzilla's getting his ass kicked.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then that explosion happens, and one they're like, oh God, the babies. So now the Mutos leave to go see what the hell happened to the babies. That gives Godzilla enough time to then come back and beat them.
Yeah.
So the only thing I'll say to that is, in all of those scenarios, the other one is like the bad guy. So like, I get what you're saying, but it's just a very poor plot point that you're just gonna have like, and there it's formulaic. All of these movies are going to be, and that
yeah.
you get to that third act, you get to that point where you just need all right, well, they're up against the ropes. How do they get back? And what is the
I think that gets written in a lot of times in the movies, so it gives like regular people something to cheer for.
Yeah.
Like it's there, so it's like
The humans did it.
it's like Joe Everyman got in there and saved the
Yeah.
day. I mean, what is Han Solo's character?
Yeah.
He's not. He's got no superpowers. He can just fly a
He's a
ship and
guy with
hangs
a
out
gun.
with a Wookiee. But he helps out the Jedi.
He does.
And that's, again, guys, we're talking about a $200 million movie.
Yeah, we are.
So I am thinking about this, I think, way too critically. I just really appreciate the emotion and the care and the storytelling of Godzilla 2014 that moving forward, I should be more mindful that, hey, people want to see monsters fight each other.
Yeah.
Why am I asking all these questions? Let them fight.
Yeah, I mean, that's all it comes down to.
I don't want to put this on the same level as Transformers 4, or something like that.
Oh, man.
But like, bring up Michael Bay again. Like that is what people want to see. They want to see two Transformers fighting. They don't care. They recast Shia LaBeouf. They recast Megan Fox. It's like, yeah, whatever. We'll just throw another guy and a girl in there. It doesn't matter. And if they die, they die. Whatever.
Yeah, and it's the human part of those movies are just really badly written.
Yeah.
Whereas I think these ones have a little more fun to them, even though there's the cheesy lines, but it definitely more enjoyable without the fights. And fuck Michael Bay, because the first Transformers, that ending fight in the first one is so underwhelming and so fast that it just left a bad taste in my mouth, and I still am mad about it to this day.
And this has been Transformers Talk with Joe Zabrowski.
He was angry. He was angry. I got up early, went to the movies in the morning. Ed, you were there.
We saw the second one in the movies.
Was it the
I
second?
saw the second one in IMAX
What
for
the
sure.
fuck? I thought that was the one
second
we
one
saw
was
with
bad.
Bob.
Yeah, it was really bad.
That was the second one.
Oh Christ! I got up and saw the second one. Ah, well,
I drove over an hour to go to the IMAX to see the second one. And it was
just-
not fun.
Well, if you were to give, 'cause
it's gross.
We'll never rate the second one. It'll never be reviewed on RedRiverHard.com. So, how many boats out of 5 for Transformers 2, Joe?
0.
Okay, Steve.
0 boats in the canal.
Yeah, I'll give it 1 because of the fighting.
Yeah, look. I'll put it this way. I mean, I don't have much else to say about Kong versus Godzilla other than this entire new franchise was something that I wanted to do for this podcast more so as a joke for laughs, and it completely surprised me, and I can't believe how much I enjoyed it. I mean, even like that first Godzilla, I see where, it's good, but like I got bored at times. And I mean, that's just me, and that's fine. But I was not expecting to have this much fun watching.
I did my best not to be on my phone or do anything while I watched this, and I think it kept my attention pretty well.
Yeah.
I think I went in and made dinner at one point, but that was like I was sous videing something, so I was just taking it out of a bag.
Yeah.
But like other than that, it held my attention pretty well. I think the final fight was fantastic. I think I love the head rip off of Mechagodzilla. That was absolutely epic.
Yeah.
I don't want to use that word, but it really was in all forms of it. So it was an awesome visual. I think the only other thing that I thought was funny was Godzilla basically did like I'm all right, I'm gonna head out meme. And it was just at the end, it's like, all right, see you later.
Yeah, he legit, he just
went to me.
pieced out.
Yeah.
Well, and that was
You deal with this.
Yeah.
I knew going in, just because we're accustomed to this now. We've grown up with the MCU and all that other crap. We knew what was going to happen was, well, Godzilla and Kong, by the end of the movie, there's going to be a greater threat.
Yeah.
Because that's what pissed me off when I was I was making fun of you guys on your old podcast with the Civil War. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yes.
Now Captain America's fighting Tony Stark. I'm like, guys, what the hell is going on?
You're fucking driving me crazy when you started watching them and just would like text me like random questions like, just watch the movie.
So I knew it's like, okay, they are not ultimately going to be the enemies at the end. But
Right.
I did like, if you're saying Godzilla is king of the monsters, he did put Kong down, put his knee on his chest and said, yo, dude, I'm the king. And I liked that. I appreciated that.
And he's not King Kong. It's just Kong.
That's just
Yeah.
Kong.
No one's dropped a king in there.
Right.
So, I mean,
Hong Kong was just a
Yeah.
Hong Kong was awesome.
Yeah.
It was worth it. I have to see that one. I've seen every movie in this franchise up to this point in IMAX. I think I got to see
gotta
this
go
one.
and do it.
Yeah.
honestly, if it was re-released in IMAX, I'd probably go see it.
I am curious if they would do it. I don't know if you've ever done the 4D, the IMAX like 4D
No,
experience.
Oh.
So I did that for Star Wars. I don't know if it was.
It'd have to be 9.
Yeah, it had to be.
I saw 8 with you.
Yeah, so
Wouldn't
well,
Joey,
I went
'cause we kept
I
saying,
went
"Go
by
see a Star Wars."
Yeah, I went by myself and saw this, and it was like literally you're in a seat, and it's like you're on a like one of those rides that would be their own standalone thing in the middle of the mall where it's like, all right, and we're gonna go on a tour of Egypt, and you're floating over Egypt.
Ah, yes.
So like when it's the TIE fighter going, your seat is going with the TIE fighter, and
I like that.
now we just landed in the forest, and now it smells like the forest in here, and like stupid little things, and it was $5 more, but it was fun. I would go see this.
I get
in
down
that.
with that. I could totally get down
Getting
with that.
splashed in the face when
Yeah.
we're in the ocean, like
Yeah, the only 4D movie I ever saw was a short, and it was at Universal Studios, and it was Shrek 4D.
well, they have a 4D at KOP.
They do.
Yeah.
Great. I hope it ripped out that RPX and then put that in there because that RPX was crap.
Joe?
It's in the RPX.
I
It is-
have-
okay, so those seats actually have a purpose. We just saw the wrong movie in there for the first
Maybe.
time.
I
we saw
have-
the new Blair Witch Project in there. Oh, wait.
No, damn it. I
Sorry.
have a callback to the RPX. So, who directed Blair Witch, the 2016 one? Who directed it?
It's not. Is it the same guy who did this?
Adam Wingard. Yes.
Whoa!
How about that?
Look at that.
What a tie-in!
6 degrees of Adam Wingard.
I didn't see that one coming.
Is that crazy?
Yeah.
So he
We were just talking about that off the cuff, and it's like, turns out it's another movie. That same director of Godzilla vs. Kong.
So we saw RPX, and the greatest thing was, we
Yeah.
saw the new Blair Witch in RPX, and it was way more, and we're all like, why are we paying like $8 more? And it was just a bigger seat it didn't
it was
recline.
taller seat. It was tighter, like had no give. It was like a seat that would be in an amusement park.
Yeah. So that's
Really?
in a movie that could use it.
Yeah.
It'd be fun.
This one didn't.
Yeah.
No. So
At all.
You tweeted at I think rightly at whomever it was, whoever the theater host
It was Regal.
Yeah, I think
Regal.
that's Regal.
Yeah, so you put
I went on a very long rant on Talking Nerdy about this. I think it was the entire episode.
well, what was it? Really perplexing expense. That was your tweet to the Regal, and it was, and me and my wife were just like, that's perfect.
That is
You
pretty perfect.
just- $8, like, don't go and see this in the RPX. RPX is really perplexing expense. I like that. It was a good one.
Oh my god, I can't believe you remembered that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's too funny. And then what I even wrote an article was like failed to make, because it's like 2015, 16. It was like make the Blair Witch great again. Or
I did
a missed
do
opportunity. That was you, right?
I did the movie
Yeah.
review. A missed opportunity to make the Blair Witch great again.
Well,
That did have opportunity.
Yeah.
this director has totally redeemed himself
I
with
agree.
Godzilla versus Kong. How about that? Any other fun notes you got?
Skarsgård dressed as Marty McFly for some reason. That was just the last note I have. And also, who won? We did.
We did.
Oh.
We did.
I'll wrap up my final thoughts. I was happy to see that in the fighting part of it, Godzilla did ultimately win, because I think the audience would have got snubbed if you built up Godzilla to be like the great equalizer on Earth.
Yeah.
But the Hong Kong was fantastic. It's the weakest film in the series to me, but this Monsterverse, I'm just going to put it out there, it's so much better than all the other verses.
Yeah, so I mean, it's fun, and I'm hoping for more of it.
Yes, me too.
It's a small amount. It definitely, I will say, in total terms of quality, it is the best right now. I agree with that, and I am a pretty big MCU fan.
Okay. Oh, wow. All right.
Yeah.
For me,
But there's misses in the MCU where right now we're pretty much 4 for 4.
Yeah, I agree.
Before Endgame, like before those last two Avengers, I mean, when it was just Age of Ultron and the Avengers, you would be hard to find someone who said that the verses, like those were the best of the MCU. It was just tying everything together, just like, whoa, basically what this movie was.
Yeah.
But even in horror, the Conjuring universe has slipped. The first Annabelle, I did not like. The Nun was good visually, but I think that was a missed opportunity. I thought it was an okay horror film. Just thought it was a missed opportunity. But quality, like all of these films in the Monsterverse from Legendary and Warner Brothers are good.
Yeah. And you know, there's like one of the things where I was like, oh, well, would Godzilla and King Kong count? And like, yeah, these count for our purposes. You know, I think so. Those monsters, they're a lot of fun. They're really cool.
What would you give it rating wise?
For me, so Eddie, the rules on if you're going to give it canoes, no halves.
I agree.
Eddie says no halves.
Yeah.
So we follow those rules. And for me, for this one, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5.
Whoa, that's strong.
Yeah, I mean,
I am also going to give it a 4 out of 5.
Guys, that's big territory.
yeah,
I'm going to go 3 boats out of 5.
3 boats.
Yep.
Hey,
I don't think that's a bad score though either.
no, it's not.
No, because the thing is, you can make or break with this boat rating system and no halves. If you give something a 2, it's just like, all right, I didn't really like this, but it's not as bad as the worst horror movie I've ever seen. like
Yeah.
some of the really bad stuff. So it's a make or break number. I give it a 3.
Yeah, I mean I can't argue with it because we did 4s.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So it's not that far off, but hey, let's close up shop here. Oh my gosh, I'm tugging on wires. Let's close up shop here for now because this has been episode number 37 of the Red River Horror Podcast. Steve, tell the people where they can find you.
They can find me on Instagram at Keystone_Retro. I was trying to
Almost
remember
went with your personal account.
I was gonna say you can also get me at the Macho Man Randy Travis as well, but Keystone _Retro is the easier one.
Hell yeah. And then, of course, you can find Eddie over at Red River Horror. He's running the show.
Yeah. On Twitter, Tony Todd Tuesday and Women in Horror Wednesday. Join us.
Yes. Oh, man, we missed one on. Like, yesterday was just so busy. We should have did a shout out to Kelly Rowland for Women in Horror Wednesday because it was the theme of
Oh, man.
episode. Swing and a miss. Actually, I shouted out to her and tagged her on Instagram in case you saw it. But hey,
Booyah.
she never got back to me. We tried.
Maybe I'll try.
But, of course, you can email your suggestions or tweet them at Red River Horror, redriverhorror@gmail.com. You can find me at Red River Joe. Got some other exciting things. Hope you enjoyed the Versus series. I got another whole series idea that I'll keep under wraps. I'm going to tell these people after I turn off the microphone. Anyway, remember, folks, to keep traveling those channels of fear.